All right, welcome to the Level Up REI podcast. Today we are with the man, David Olds. I'm excited to have Dave share his story. I met Dave in actually a mastermind after following for years on social media and just watching what he's done, the transition from a real estate investor to building his transaction coordination business and just all around helping thousands of people around the country just make money through real estate. So welcome, Dave.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm very excited to be here. I finally made the cut. I got on the big show.
You're here, brother, and I'm excited to see how many people we can touch with the info you're going to share today, man. And it's cool to watch the amazing things you're doing down there in Chattanooga. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Dave.
Yeah, I'm a full-time investor located here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which for anybody who doesn't know, and most people don't, we're exactly 2 hours north of Atlanta. But I grew up in Boston, went to a nice all-boys Catholic school up there, was a Boy Scout and Eagle Scout, did all those things, had a great life, and then relocated to Florida with my parents. My parents moved first, and I was in college and decided that snow wasn't the most fun place to live. I'd much rather live in Boca Raton, Florida. So yeah, went down there and got a job working for a big hardware company, which was cool. So got a lot of experience hanging around with contractors and building materials and all that type of stuff. And when I got married in 2002, my wife and I, we bought our first house, like everybody does. And, because I'd kind of been in the industry and my dad fixed up houses, we bought this house and we fixed it up and resold it 2 years later and made a bunch of money. And what was weird about the house was when we bought it, I remember coming out of the closing, talking to my agent. Her name was DJ. I'm like, DJ, I don't understand why was nobody there, right? Like you're thinking you're buying a house, right? You're going to give me the keys across the table or something, And why did I buy it from Wells Fargo? And it turns out it was a foreclosure it was a foreclosure that we bought. So anyways, so we fixed the house up and then we changed out carpet for laminate, just basic stuff, right? A little upgrade. And then we sold it 2 years later and made almost $50,000. So same realtor, we're going into a new closing. And she's like, hey, you don't have to pay tax on this money. And I'm like, what? How do I not pay taxes? I've been paying taxes my whole life. She's like, yeah, dummy, it's homesteaded. You lived in it for 2 years. You don't have to pay any taxes. And I'm like, oh my Lord. And that was the first time it really hit me like, oh, this is cool. So we went and bought another house and did it again and did it again and did it again and found the local REI. I found it by reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad at the end of the book.
There you go.
Go find a local real estate meetup group. So I got involved in the one in Central Florida, CFRI.net for anybody that's down there. Fantastic group, really well organized. Thank goodness I found them. And I just, spent the next couple of years investing and going to every class and learning everything that I possibly could. And that's kind of how we got our start and how I learned to do subject to and wholesaling and lease options and all the different things. I apologize, I'm losing my voice a little bit, but yeah, getting involved in the REIA and getting some coaches and just going to all the events that I possibly could and absorbing all that knowledge. That was really the biggest thing that got us out of the gate.
You were working at a hardware store. How long did you keep your W-2 job while you were transitioning and learning into real estate?
Yeah, the whole time. Because my problem is I'm a little bit of a maniac. Like I worked 60 hours a week and did real estate. So, in the beginning, it was we would buy a house and we were fixing it up on nights and weekends. And then every other chance I had, I was back on the computer learning whatever I could, right? Or watching webinars or YouTube videos. In the early days, it was like Ty the Flipman Taylor. Then I started buying, more and more and more. We never had more than 2 or 3 going at a time. Yeah, so it wasn't full time like it is now. Yeah, all the way up until 2009. So what happened is we knew the market was kind of getting bad, right? Nobody at the time could project that it was about to literally fall off a cliff. But right. Our business in the hardware business, I was a salesman at the time for 84 Lumber. And I sold doors and millwork and trim to big tract builders, Pulte Homes, Lennar builders, like the big people. And what was happening is when you win the contract for a subdivision, you have every model and then you spec a price for each one of those models. Well, they were coming back to us and they were starting to say, hey, sales are slow. We're going to go from the 5-inch baseboard down to the 3.25-inch baseboard. We're going to go from crown to no crown. They were adjusting things to try to get their costs down so they could lower prices. So that was sort of the first thing that we saw, that there was something happening, right? But it was like looking at the train tracks and seeing the train coming, but you couldn't tell how far away it was. But we knew something was happening. And my wife at the time, she was a purchasing manager for Ashton Woods Homes. So she was seeing the same thing on the other side of the fence. We knew we needed to go and buy property someplace else because Central Florida was getting just so out of control expensive. So I talked my brother into coming into business with us, and we made a couple trips up here to Chattanooga. We bought a couple of houses, owner financing and sub 2. And so I'm like, okay, we're going to move up there probably next year. So it was maybe like June or July of '08. And I bought the last house I bought in Florida. It was in Deltona, 742 Trafalgar. our street. And Rick, I'm telling you, this is a little 3-bedroom, 2-bath brick ranch house, and I got it for $97,000.
Wow.
Identical house, 1 block over, 2 blocks down, had just sold for $214. So 97, like I'm the man, right? Like on paper, you're the dude. So, so that's June, July, whatever it was. And back then I did everything myself. I was younger and skinnier, a lot more energy, scraping popcorn, putting down tile, built kitchen countertops, laminate, did all the things.
Oh yeah.
So I finished in like late October, early November, called my realtor up and I'm like, hey, I've got this property. I'm ready to list it. Let's go. She's like, well, it's sort of the holidays. Let's just wait until January because we don't want a bunch of days on market. Well, that makes sense, right? And I wasn't really used to that because all the houses I've been selling for the last couple of years were like just flying off the shelf. So Rick, she comes in January and she walks in and she's like, you did a great job. And I'm like, I know. She's like, it looks really good. I'm like, I know, because I'm a dopey young investor. And I'm like, what can we sell it for? And this is, again, '08, right? Before Facebook. So she pulls out this binder and flipping pages and doing all this stuff. And she's like, yeah, this one sold for this. And I'm listening and it's not going the way I think it's going to go. She's like, probably 147.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, her name was Shayna. I'm like, Shayna, 1 block over, 2 blocks down, 214. Yeah, that was 6 months ago, right?
Oh, wow.
That's how quickly the market changed on a dime in Florida. So when I hear this nonsense like the last couple of years, the market's crashing on Facebook, that's anybody that's been around for a long time, it's the stupidest white noise you've ever heard. So anyways, so I made the mistake that everybody makes. I'm like, yeah, but my house is nicer. Those were foreclosures. And she's like, yeah, well, that's what stuff's selling for. And what we didn't realize, Rick, is for like 3 or 4 years, the big thing in the real estate industry had been pre-foreclosures, right? Well, it didn't ever dawn on anybody that all those houses that went back to the bank at some point were going to come flooding back onto the market. Well, this was the time. This was it.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, we were just literally in a glut of houses. And, even though those houses were dumps, like literally, people left on the weekend and just left crap everywhere. And I had a brand new remodeled house. There was no market for it. And also interest rates were starting to go up. Nobody was buying. It was just a mess. So I'm thinking I'm the most magnanimous SOB that's ever walked the face of the earth. I'm like, Shayna, I will do 155. That's like 60 grand less than I thought, but we're going to do this. And it's January. But she's a listing agent broker, right? So she's like, all right, sign in the yard. Out she goes. Like, she doesn't care. So like all of January comes along and not even a call to find out. I'm like, we're not talking about viewings or offers, not even a call. So, I'm working and I've kind of told my boss that I'm getting ready to leave because I thought the house was going to sell. So February comes around, I call her again. I'm like, hey, what should we do? She's like, well, you have to lower the price. You're just not getting any, not even any inquiries. I'm like, all right, if I go to 147, will that do it? She's like, no. I'm like, what do you mean no? You just told me one. She's like, that was 30 days ago.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe like 137, 135. I don't know.
Wow.
Like the world was in a tailspin. People don't realize what it really was. Because I didn't learn my lesson the first time. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. I'll go to 144.
Yep.
Again, thinking that I'm giving, which I was, but giving this house away. So another month goes by. I call her. I'm like, and we'd got a couple calls now, but not even a showing. I'm like, all right, what do I need to do? She's like, you probably need to be around 125. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not doing 125. I'm in it for that with the repairs and everything that I did, even though I did them myself. So I'm like, well, damn, what am I going to do? And again, goes back to the REIA because I'd been around the REIA so long. I knew how to sell by owner and do lease options and, that 7-day auction, all that type of stuff. So I went out and bought a bunch of blank bandit signs and hand wrote, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, Deltona, must sell today, 5,000 down, phone number. And I put those all over town.
Nice.
And it took me a little bit to find somebody, but probably like 60 days still. And I found somebody who was willing to put $5,000 down. So we moved out literally like, June 5th. And the day I was moving out, they were moving in. So like the moving trucks passed. And, during this time, I'd been coming back and forth to Chattanooga. My brother was up here at a duplex that we bought. You looked at houses, right? Sometimes you look at a house and then later down the road, you're like, you forget. You forget like how bad it was, right? You get this rosy picture. We needed a place to go. So I picked up this house sub 2, like on the side of the ridge in the downtown area, not the best area, if you know what I mean. And I'm like, we're going to go there. So it's picture this. It's me, my wife, my 2 boys, they're teenagers, and our 3 fat dogs. We're going to Chattanooga. We're driving and 577 miles because I drove it a bunch of times. And we left early in the morning. It was exhausting. I got here just in time to get to the title company, sign the docs. I mean, it was sub 2. We took it over. I think I gave the guy $1,000. I'm like, okay, we're going to this house and we're exhausted. And dude, I remember getting to this house and driveway was super narrow. Like pulled the truck in. We like literally like pull out 2 mattresses, just drag them inside because everybody's beat, just throw them on the floor and like 2 fans, right? And now I'm like in this house and, of course my wife wasn't there. My kids have only known like nice Florida houses. And I'm like, this place is a shithole. Oh my God. Like the floors are uneven. Electric didn't work in half the house. One of the poles was out. The door has like a little crack underneath it because the house is settling. It's a 1900s house in Chattanooga. And like there's a mouse running through. And bro, I'm going to tell you, that was like the worst night of my life. I laid on that mattress just like with a sheet just thrown over the top. It's June. There's no air conditioning. It's hot. And man, I'm gonna tell you, I cried myself to sleep that night because I thought, holy smokes, like what have I done? Like I left Florida, at least our families were there. I had this nice house. Yeah, was it ideal? No, but I could have done something, right? And instead I flushed all of that, brought my family to Chattanooga, a city where we knew nobody. Like literally we only picked it because of real estate. And we're in this dump of a house and what have I done? Like what have I done? And that was a terrible night. And like all entrepreneurs, we have to get up the next day and just go do the thing, right? Like we messed up and like whatever it is, like we're going to make this work. It is the epitome of that story you see, burning the boats, right? Like
that's it.
We had no option. We had to figure out how to wholesale and how to do stuff. Like I had to make money. Wife, 2 boys and 3 fat dogs. So, luckily me, my wife, the kids, like we're driving for dollars. They're jumping out of the Jeep, going and putting flyers on the door, 8 hours a day out there. At night, I'm driving for dollars by myself. My brother's doing stuff. My wife's, I'd come home, my wife's handwriting yellow letters because we had no money. Like that $5,000 that we had, that was it. Because all that rehab money was gone. We'd spent all of that.
Right.
So, I tell people like, this is the number for broke. We were half of broke. We had 5,000 between us for everything. Between 3 adults, 2 kids, and 3 dogs. And, luckily we worked hard. We were incredibly focused and got our first deal within like 3 or 4 weeks. And then it just really took off from there. But, the thing that we attribute it to is, focus, determination, and nobody would outwork us. Like we didn't know our butts from a hole in the ground, but we freaking worked hard, man. Wholesaling was the thing I thought about first thing when I got up. It was the thing I did all day. It was the last thing I thought about at night. And we went out and made it happen.
So you said something. There's a lot to unpack there.
There is a lot. I know.
Thank you for that's an awesome story because you just spoke to just about the whole industry, really. But the main thing I want to take out of that was when you were put in a corner. Nowadays everybody's looking for the get rich quick. Right? No. They're looking for the how do I do this? How do I make this? Nobody wants to do the hard work. But you just said you literally had you and your family out driving for dollars, putting sticky notes on the door. Those are things that we do and things that we teach. And people will quit the game. They'll quit the wholesaling before they'll go out and drive for dollars or go up and put a Post-it note on somebody's front door. Mm-hmm. And you said that's how you came out of your rut and built the start of your entire business.
Dude,
that's awesome, man.
When even for a long time, not anymore because we've stopped wholesaling, but up until last year, like if I was having a bad day, I'd go get in my car and go drive for dollars because I would feel like at least I was making some, like the world. We all have those days, right? And everybody, don't be confused if you're listening, watching this. Like the most successful people have shitty days, like terrible days.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just 100%. Problems. So, but like I knew I could get in my car, and at least when I was done, I would come home with 100 or 150 addresses, and I felt like I made some progress. But just talk about people not willing to do the work. Fortune builders, right? Every time they would come through town, what do they tell people? Oh, go find an experienced investor and go offer to buy them coffee or lunch and talk to them. Okay. Well, I didn't really want to go to lunch because I was busy, but I've had easily 100 people come to my office and hey, I want to be in investing. I want to be, just like you or whatever craziness. I'm like, okay, cool. You have a car? Yep. And pad of paper? Yep. Cool. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to get in your car, go down to this part of town. I want you to drive like a typewriter up and down the streets and just come back with 100 addresses of houses that are either in need of repair or that look vacant or empty lots. Don't care. Yep. Bring me 100 and then we'll go to the next step.
Yep.
3 people ever have done it.
Yep.
3.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is not a complicated business. There's no rocket science about anything we do, any of us in real estate, but you just take some determination and, anybody can be successful. The great thing about real estate and wholesaling specifically is like wholesaling doesn't matter if you're old, young, fat, white, skinny, black, purple, doesn't matter how smart you are. Cause I know a lot of people that aren't that bright that make a lot of money. You just got to go do the thing. All right. If you just go do the thing and follow the steps, you'll make a lot of money. Right?
Yeah.
We were talking before we jumped on here, right? Getting rich is not complicated. For everybody who's listening and, you listen to, you bounce around, hear all these people talking and everybody has a different strategy and that's fine. You just got to find something that resonates with you, that you like, right? I'm a talky guy. Obviously, you're a poor guy. You haven't gotten 2 words in because I talk so much, but I'm incredibly introverted too, which is weird. But I like talking to people. That's why I like to wholesale, right? I would not be a good short sale person. Also, I would not be a great transaction coordinator, weirdly enough, when I own the biggest company in the country. But yeah, I mean, you just got to find something that you like and enjoy doing and then go do it and just go do it. You're the best that there is. And, 95% of people will fail out there. So your competition is mediocre at best. Your competition doesn't pick up the phone. They don't answer emails. They don't, they don't show up to the networking events. It's not hard to be successful. It's really not. It's just showing up and thinking a little bit about what you're doing and what's the next step and how do I do it.
Put in the work, man. Put in the work and ask questions to somebody who's done it. Everybody will get on the YouTube videos and the social media and all that stuff, and they'll get all the information. It's easy to get, but the implementation is what people lack. Or the first time you get kicked in the shin, oh my gosh, this business ain't for me, right? That's good stuff, man. So talk about how, you evolved into, would you do a lot of wholesale deals? Or are we talking like that was your core business?
Yeah, I've done over 1,600 wholesale deals myself.
Okay, all right. So I guess that leads into the next thing that everybody's been waiting to hear about. I guess that talks about you had to coordinate those transactions 1,600 times.
Well, yeah, we'll get there in 1 second. Here's what I can tell people. In the very beginning, there's a lot of things that held me back, right? We have this very pervasive hustle culture thing now, right? I have to do everything. Nobody's as smart as me. I'm not going to hire anybody because they won't be able to do it as good as me. Like all this crazy nonsense that we fill our heads with. And the reality is, all entrepreneurs we are special in a lot of ways, but our brains are a little broken, and that's what allows us to do this. We're not great at everything. We're really great at one part of the business typically, right? Marketing, acquisitions, dispositions, maybe TC work. But the thing that held me back was being afraid or unwilling to bring somebody else either into my company or to outsource it to an expert. That definitely stunted, my growth for a long time. We were doing 4, 5, 6 deals a month when we were just local in Chattanooga. And when we expanded out and went nationwide, I own Nationwide Property Liquidators, which was one of the biggest wholesalers in the country. Obviously, you have to have a team. If you're going to do 20 to 30 deals a month, you have to bring some people in and trust them. But kind of our evolution was we were wholesaling, and then we started buying rental properties. And the way that I bought them, and it's a whole nother podcast we can do, but I bought all of mine with owner financing, right? Not sub 2, not like I went to people who own their properties free and clear, had them, we wrote terms, offers, and we bought now $8 or $9 million worth of real estate, and that's going to be free and clear within the next couple of years. So that was the first thing. And then as the market started to shift and, retail buyers were able to start coming back into the market, we shifted into rehabbing. And probably not as big a rehabber as you, but 2 or 3 deals, 4 deals, 5 deals going at a time, which was a lot for me. 5 in some phase, right? Getting close to closing out or just buying. Yeah, I did that for a few years until we really launched Nationwide Property Liquidators and went just all in on the wholesaling. And that's where we were for a couple of years until, just the very beginning of COVID. And that's when we figured out transactions. We should do that. All of my friends said it's a dumb thing to do. Well, I think it'll work.
So you kept all your transactions in-house with just you and your team when you were doing the high-level wholesaling and rehabbing.
Yeah,
and you saw an opportunity.
Yeah, the studio that I'm in was actually our transaction coordinator's office. And so what happened was, I'm on Investor Lift, so one of those original cartel bosses, the top 50 companies in the country. And, COVID hit, all of my friends, those guys were like, remember the whole world came to a stop. And then miraculously, 2 months later, we were on fire again. So some guys called me and they're like, hey, because I was always known to be like the dispositions guy and solving title problems because I've done it for so long. So some of them called and were like, hey, can your transaction coordinators help us a little bit until we bring some people back in? I'm like, yeah, sure. No problem. We'll do that. We'll just figure out how to do it. And it kind of dawned on me that there was just a gap in the marketplace for that, right? Because Rick, the truth is nobody starts this business and goes, hey, I'm going to get into real estate because I want to learn what monumental title is. That sounds awesome. Man, I want to get into real estate so I can learn how to find death certificates that have been lost, right? Yep. Nobody does that. That's never in the webinar. Nobody's ever speaking from stage and tells you that, hey, by the way, 30% of your business is going to be just random paperwork problem solving type stuff. So
sure is.
So we realized nobody taught it. Nobody could provide that service to investors. So I was at a mastermind down in Cancun, an Investor Lift one, and talking to those guys, I'm like, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to start a transactions company. They're like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. I'm like, no, I think it'll be great. They're like, that's the worst business ever. I'm like, that's the worst business for you and me. But there are people who love that business. If you hire the right personality. I'm like, I think it's going to work and I'm going to do it. And that's where we started in late 2020. And here we are, 2024. And we've done $165 million in closings and almost 3,000 files, generated $30 million worth of assignment fees for our clients. So it's grown into a big thing, and it'll probably 4x this year.
Really? So you pivoted. Are you still buying and selling real estate too, or did you shift?
No, we shifted completely. I still own my portfolio, but I've outsourced that to a property manager. And we're always rehabbing rentals and stuff. In fact, I'm getting ready to knock down one of my old rentals this week. But yeah, we had to turn off the wholesaling about 6 months ago because it was just too much to try to do all of that at one time.
Right.
And then we decided in early last year that we were going to open a title company. So the thing for us as a transaction coordinator for investors and wholesalers all across the country is our job is to compress time and get your deals closed just as quickly as we can, right? So the one uncontrollable that we don't have power over is the title companies. So we said, well, can we start a title company? I'm like, are we smart enough to start a title company? Can we even do that? And we spent most of the last 14 months figuring out that, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of money. But we started a title company. So now we're, I think, licensed in 9, 10, 11 states. And we're partnered with Fidelity and First American to cover the rest of the states. So now we have easy REI closings and easy title and escrow. So now we have both companies, and that's what we're focused on growing this year.
So for the people that are paying attention to that don't understand the difference, what is the difference between the transaction coordination and the title? What's the difference there?
Great question. Because a lot of times people confuse them, and even coaches sometimes will just say, make your title company do it. And the title company's job is to go out and pull a title search and say, hey, Rick, here are the problems. Go figure this out with your seller. Now, listen, if you've got, if you're local and you always use the same title company, Penelope's there, maybe she will do some of that for you. But there's still time that's going to be spent, uploading all the contracts and getting the addendums and, figuring out where the death certificates are and, who can close on this date? Oh, okay. Dead person. We need to get some affidavits. There's a lot of coordinating that needs to be done. And we really specialize in helping investors who want to grow and scale and get their time back, right? Because again, most entrepreneurs, wholesalers don't love doing this business, right? For the same reason that probably their accountant hates them, their bookkeeper hates them, all of that type of stuff. So we're able to just completely take that off of their plate, really at a fraction of the price it would cost to, for them to go hire their own in-house. And they can have us, our team of absolute just kick-ass experts that literally do it every single day.
So that's what, when you take their time back, that you're taking all that off their plate, which increases their productivity. It allows them to go out and find deals. They can go out and find deals, raise private money, rehab houses, do all the stuff they do. You're helping them get from accepted offer all the way to the closing table.
Yeah, once you've got that contract signed, you upload that to us. We have a special CRM, a portal that we have for them, and you're good. And literally we will take it over from there like a baton in a relay race, right? You hand that off and you go. Yeah. So Rick, for instance, you're going to upload a contract to me and Mrs. Smith, 123 Main Street, right? So you'll upload that. One of our girls, Claudia, she's going, hey, Mrs. Smith, this is Claudia. I'm working with Rick on your deal over here at 123 Main Street. Hey, Mrs. Smith, I'm going to be your point of contact from here all the way to closing. You're out, Rick. You're like, go sell your deal, go get your next deal. Like, get back in the game, man. Go back, go do your thing. So, Mrs. Smith, I need to collect some information from the title company so we can get this closed just as quickly as possible and get you paid. So, we'll start asking a bunch of questions, and then depending upon the answers, that triggers more questions, right? Like, Mrs. Smith, are you the only person on title? Oh, no, my husband was on title. Oh, I'm sorry, has he passed away? Yeah, very sorry to hear that. I'm going to need to get a copy of the death certificate. If there was a will, was it probated? So everything will, will trigger a bunch more questions. We'll ask stuff like, is it in bankruptcy? Are you in foreclosure? Are there any liens on the property? Or any code enforcement? Anything that could possibly come up that's going to, slow this closing down. We like to get on that at the very, very start, because I have to assume that you are going to assign this deal tomorrow, right? And remember, for us, everything is compressing time. So, we are going to, from the word go, collect everything we possibly could need for her. Then when you've got your buyer, we're going to have all that information. Then it goes to the title company. And now the title company is able to act very quickly, right? Because they're not having to call you 30 times. Oh, hey, is this person married or divorced? Oh, I don't know. Oh, divorced.
Right.
Call the title company. He's divorced. And they're like, divorced before or after they bought the house? And you're like, shoot. Yeah. Now it's another call. He's like, no, I divorced that heifer 3 months ago, right?
Yeah.
The title company, no, he just divorced her. Great. Now we need our the divorce decree. You know what I mean? So that's like 5 calls to do one thing that because we've done almost 3,000 files, like we get it. We know what the next question is going to be.
Yeah. So what types of transactions are you guys geared to handle? There can be some very simple ones and some tougher ones.
So good question. So, for me, because I was a real investor for 20 years, like I know, we were talking about this a little bit at the beginning, right? Like if you're a real investor, like different deals are going to come up and the solution is going to be a different type of transaction. Sometimes it can be wholesale, maybe it's sub two, maybe you're going to buy and hold, maybe it's going to be a sub two assignment or an novation or an owner financing or, any of that. So one thing that we knew when we started was it was going to be very important to make sure that our coordinators who are all certified, before we certify them and put them on the phone, that they understand what that means and can handle all of those different types of transactions. So, we went into this knowing exactly who we were going to be. We wanted to be able to handle all transaction types and work for investors in all 50 states, right? Because that happens, right? Maybe today you got to Florida, tomorrow it's Maine, next week it's Arizona, right? Like deals come from weird places, even if you're not purposely marketing for them.
Got it. So you can work in all 50 states. That's huge, man.
We have an amazing team. We really do. That's a lot of work to keep track of all the different laws and things that are going on in 50 states.
So what are your goals with this company?
Well, we like I said, we 4x'd it last year. So our goal is to 4x again this year, get the title company up and running. Right now, the title company is exclusive to just our clients. So we want to make sure that we always take care of them first. I'm not looking to take on every Tom, Dick, and Harry's files from all over the country. Maybe towards the end of the year, we might expand that out a little bit. But right now, it's just, making sure with a couple hundred clients that we have that we are getting their deals closed just as fast as possible and making sure we get them paid, right? One thing that I always talk to all of our coordinators about, little story, I always say, like, listen, little Bobby in Phoenix, this might be his only deal this month, right? Yeah. Make sure that thing closes, right? He's got a wife, girlfriend, maybe both, I don't know, kids, dogs, VAs, whatever it is, car payment. And the deal is to make sure we get him his 10 grand as quick as we possibly can. So that's our goal right now. It's just Rick, you ever jump in the car and put your address in and the GPS says 2 hours and 13 minutes. What do you say?
Yeah.
I can beat that. Well, that's how we track our KPIs. Our goal is like, how can we get better? How can we do it faster and better for our clients?
That's awesome, man. So you work with a certain type of, you mentioned somebody doing one deal a month. And then I know that you said you were doing 20, 30 deals a month. Yeah. What's your ideal client? Do you guys work with everybody?
Yeah, we'll work with everybody. We work a little different than some people. We're on a subscription model. So you pay a flat amount depending upon the number of deals that you're doing, right? So 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 20, whatever it is. And that way we can keep it priced just as low as possible. No, our ideal client is doing 2 or 3 deals a month, but mainly want to scale. Ultimately they want to grow and get their time back, right? Like if you just want to do 1 or 2 deals a month and you don't care, then that's cool. Maybe I'm not the best solution for you because you have time.
Right.
But if you want to take that time and get it back and spend it coaching up your acquisitions or your VAs or your dispositions people or really fine tuning that PPC marketing or, dialing in your investor lift account or whatever it is, right? Then that's the person that we can really come in and really help you grow your business in a big way. And we've had people that have gone from, that came to us doing 97,000, which is an amazing number, that after a few months got all the way up to 811,000. Again, that's awesome. I didn't buy their deal or sell their deal for them. But what I did is instead of having the 15 people all collectively trying to do transactions, when they outsourced it to us, now all of their people got 30% of their time back too. And now they got very, very focused. So we've had a lot of clients who've seen just tremendous growth in their companies, and that's what we love.
I think that's awesome, man. So taking that back to when you first drove up to Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Right. You stayed there. That became the foundation. That's in Florida, and that's where you planted your flag, and you're still there to this day.
Yeah, man. I love it. It's it's interesting when the reason we chose Chattanooga was at the time, remember Florida, it was like a 40% drop in 6 months or 8 months. It was terrible. So Chattanooga hadn't experienced that. It had only seen about a 10% dip. Also, Volkswagen had just announced that they were going to open their first production facility in the United States. Big, right? Nice. Amazon was opening 2 fulfillment centers within 30 miles of each other, one right next to Volkswagen and another one in Cleveland, Tennessee. And then, you know, when we really looked at the economy here, it was very diverse, right? There's a lot of insurance companies. It's a very high-tech corridor, believe it or not.
Yep.
Chattanooga was the first gig city in the country, meaning first city in the country where every resident had gigabyte internet access. So
Really?
pretty progressive, yeah. So, you know, we came here because we knew that it was on the upswing, and we planned to stay 5 or 7 years and then buy some stuff, then sell it, take the gains and go to like another emerging market. And, you know, we just really fell in love with it here. People are great. It's a great little, you know, small town, 300,000 people. You know, has everything that you need. You know, we got all the things that a big city has, just not so much of the traffic.
I think it's cool how you learned and you transitioned from sleeping on that mattress with the sheet over you.
Yeah,
Wondering with $5,000 to 20 years. That was 20 years ago, right?
No, that was 2009, so 15 years ago.
Okay, so 15 years ago. So fast forward that today. But would you still say the hardships and the learning lessons came from real estate? Real estate?
100%. Real estate has given me a life that, you know, I don't know that I feel like I deserve, right? I mean, it's been really good. I've got to travel all kinds of cool places around the world and go now the last couple of years, go all over the country and do a lot of speaking and meet amazing people. And, you know, we'll see you probably in Tampa here in a couple of weeks, but yeah, I mean, it's been great. And the formula was just get up every day and go do the thing. Do the thing.
That's it, man. I think that's awesome. And now you're getting to meet people all over the country to not only your clients, but I'm sure they become your friends too, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You know, at some point you get to a level where you have the luxury of being able to work with people that you want to work with. You know, we don't work with anybody who's a pain in the ass, or, you know, anybody that's, you know, we're the no drama zone. We're just here to help you close your deals, man.
I like it. And in this game, you can come across those.
Yeah, I mean, in every business, right? You know, and I get it. Like, you know, I was talking to a client this morning that had an $80,000 deal getting ready to close. So I get that there's anxiety, right? Like, you know, because I've been there, like I've been on the other side of that call. You know, and that's the advantage of working with us, right? We're not some part-time realtor who's also flipping and also listing houses and all doing all that type of stuff. Like, this is all that we do. You know, our staff, 20-something people now, you know, they come in at 8:30 every morning, they leave. God, some of them don't leave till 7 o'clock at night, but they all come in focused on serving our clients and, you know, making their businesses grow.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Thank you for all this info. And what would you tell? So if you're talking to someone who's just thinking about getting involved in real estate or just getting traction, what kind of advice would you give to somebody just getting started in the game?
Man, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard in the sense that, like you talked about, you're going to do some things that don't work exactly the way that you think they're going to, and that's okay, right? That's how we learn. That's how we overcome stuff. But you know, one, don't quit. And the second thing I always tell people is, you know, find your tribe, right? Find some people that really resonate with you and they're on the same journey as you, right? People that you can call and say, man, I'm having a bad day. You're not going to believe this. I hired this acquisitions person. They screwed me. And but people who are there can be there to sort of listen to the problems and offer you good advice, right? And maybe that's a local REIA group. Maybe it's, you know, if there's not a local REIA group, start one. You know, go to meetup.com, start your own group, or, you know, you can meet a lot of people online. It's a little harder to form those kinds of relationships with, but definitely find people that, you know, you can be on this journey with alone, because trying to do it yourself is lonely, right? Like sitting in your kitchen, trying to watch some videos and then figure out how to do this. It's hard. You feel like you're the only person in the world that's doing this, right? And no one else is having this struggle, and, you know, and it just can be defeating. And the reality is, one, there's a lot of people doing it at an incredibly successful high level. I know Facebook and Instagram, a lot of people are full of shit, but there are some people that are doing some significant business, right? Yeah. And you know, those are the people that you want to try to be around, right? Because that gives you faith that, oh my gosh, these people are doing it, I can do this too. And, you know, you provide value to them, they'll provide value to you. And, you know, hey, don't do this, do it this way. You know, those little kind of tweaks that guide your business. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. Thank you for that. So a lot of people are going to want to reach out to you, I'm sure. What's the best way to get a hold of Mr. David Olds? What's the best way to reach out to you? We all know the social media world, but what do you prefer?
Probably Instagram is the best thing for us. We post a ton of content on there. So it's at David Olds, REI. And just like and follow, do all those things. You know, if you do that, then you can send me a message and I do everything I can to respond every day or so. I kind of go in there and, respond to all the messages, and it's really me, not some VA. And yeah, I love, Rick, the part of the story I didn't tell was at the very beginning being afraid to go into that first rehab, right?
Yeah.
Literally being too scared to go in the very first time, and I left. And, so I do remember, what it's like to be new, right? Like what it's like to, just be afraid to go talk to the guy who's speaking at the front. And so I certainly have a lot of empathy for that. So yeah, shoot me a message. If I can answer it, great. If not, I'll I don't know everything, but I'll try to point you in the right direction.
Dave, I want to thank you for your leadership and what you've built, and you're being open and transparent and sharing all the details of where you started to where you're going now, and that doesn't go unnoticed. And one of the good guys, man. Like you said, there's a lot of things that people get caught up following people on social media, not knowing whether it's true or whether it's not true. You know
what? And the way that I look at that is I want to be inspired by everything. And, if you're telling stuff that's not true, that's on you. I want to look at it and not try to judge whether or not you're lying to me. I want to go, my goodness, then that's possible, right? So that's the light that I always try to look at all that stuff in is, geez, that guy's doing it, I can do this, or, like there's a great idea. Why didn't I try that? Or how can I implement that into my business? That type of stuff.
You got it. Well, Dave, I want to thank you for your time.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
A ton of value. Absolutely. I look forward to doing this again. And next year you're going to go 4X this year, right?
4X, man. That's it. We're on the road.
I look forward to helping you get there, man, any way I possibly can, Dave. So thank you for your time, awesome. And we'll do it on the next one.
All right. We'll see you soon.